So I was working on developing a form for this tracking your schedule database that I will be using this coming semester. And I thought about it, and as I was creating this form, it made me think about, well, I wonder if students would benefit from seeing how I create a form. So this database is pretty simple, and so I thought I would try using it as an example. So I'm going to go over here to a different database that doesn't have the form in it yet. Here is just a number of drop-down lists that I have, and here is the different grade assignments that I've used throughout the different semesters. I won't be necessarily using those in the coming semester, but they give good data to use. But anyway, and then here, just so you understand what the fields are, here are the fields in this table. And you can see that you would enter a grade item and for each week, and then when the data or when the grade item is due, and the item description, the number of minutes, if it's completed or not, how well you as a student understood it, if you want to make any notes. And this is automatically entered, and you don't, and it'll be in the background. I won't be using it for data entry. It'll automatically enter on its own because the default value here is now, the function now. As you can see, this database is pretty simple. If you go into relationships, it has no relationships. This is just something that I'm going to use to be basic and so that you can understand the concepts that I'm promoting. Okay, so I'm going to make a form for this particular student grade items table. So I'm going to click here on Create, and I'll come here to Form Wizard just to show you the basics of how to do this. And I just want this one right here, right? I wanted it for this. And I'll bring over all of the, but I don't really want this date entered. So, because remember, it'll be entered in the background all by itself, so I don't need that. And so anyway, I'll just say next, and I'll say columnar, which is, it'll have rows of information. All right, and so then I'm going to click on modify the form's design. And so now you can see that this is the style of columnar. And so if we go here and we go view, okay, so what are the issues here that you can see? Well, first of all, if we compare this form, and let's go back to this form, and you've got it in rows, which when you've got just a small amount of data, rows can be really useful. If you don't have like more than a few fields to enter, sometimes rows can be really helpful and useful. So I'm going to go back over here, and I apologize, this video is going to be a little bit long so that I can demonstrate all the things I want to demonstrate. But you can stop it and listen more, or yeah. Anyway, so here I can come here to fix some of the problems that I see. So the first thing that I see here is there's no spaces here, and I'm not really sure that I need the word student here. So maybe I could just say grade outcomes as a useful title. You want to think about what the user would want, right? So there's the first thing. And I might go and just change the theme. So let's see if I can find a theme that I like. And you can play with it and see if you see something that you like better. So I'll just use this purple one, I guess. Okay. So there, and the theme changed the color here, and it's changed the font as well. Anyway, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I chose columnar, and so then it would show one record at a time. But I think I like it so that it does do the rows instead. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click on this box right here, and I can come here to the property sheet and make sure that it's showing forms. And instead of having default view of single form, I can change it to continuous forms. Okay. And then the next thing I'll do is I'll make this just a bit wider. And I really would like to have all of these labels up here because as column headings like I have here. See that? So I'm going to cut these and then I'm going to paste them up here so that I have them and I don't have to retype them. All right, so then I'll come here and I'll move those out of the way and I'll just start to set up how I want my columns to look. Okay. And so week number and due date, and I need to make sure I have enough that it's wide enough, and notice I've got no space there, so I'm going to put a space in there. Now my description is probably going to be pretty big, so I'm going to move that over here, and I might actually the number of minutes doesn't need to be very wide, so I can move that like that, and then I can make this completed like that. And now watch what happens. You know, I'm going past the edge, the border. I'm just going to decide to widen my border, so I'll just let it pop open wider, and I want this to be so that the words are one on top of the other. Okay, and then I might have my notes over here. Okay, and so I'm going to align those, right click and align bottom. Okay, and I'm going to make some of these fields be centered over the field. And the thing that I want to say is, you know, well, when do you decide if it should be centered or not? Well, what looks good. You have to decide what looks good. And so anyway, there I've just centered it. I clicked on home and then center. And so then I can bring this up like this. And here, the grade item ID field isn't very wide. So I really don't need it to be all that big. You know, yeah. I might not see the field name, but that's okay. InDesign. All right, and so here's a week and the date due. Okay, and I do need that to be pretty wide, but I can always find out if it's wide enough or not by testing the form. Okay, so here's minutes spent, and so there we go, and I'll move that over a little bit. And then is it completed? Did the student complete the item? And then the comprehension rating, now that's just a 1 or 2 or 3, so I don't need that to be very big. And then here are my notes. Now, granted, this is a pretty big box, but because I don't want this form to be too wide, I'm going to allow just a little bit of space. And then, so this is all, this area right here is for one record. So watch what happens if I come and I go like that. See, this right here is the area that would show for one record, and then there would be another record here. There's no data in here, so I'm gonna have to type it in so I can show you. But the whole point is that you don't need this much space. So what you can do is come here and make it smaller. And there you go. And so if I come here again, you see that this is much smaller. And so I can look now at my form and see, do I like it? Is it designed the way I want it? Mostly, I think. I might not like, I don't know, this might not be lined up just the way I want it. But for the most part, it's okay. Now, if you're okay with it, you could change like the notes and make it bigger. You know, you have to think about what works for you. But just for fun, I don't know if this is a what kind of item ID. Yeah, it's a number. Okay, so I'm going to say item ID, and I'll say 1. And I'll say week number 5 maybe, and then the date due, maybe it's, I don't know, this is December, so let's put it in January. And then maybe it would be access module 5, home read and do, right? And the minutes spent, maybe you spent 60 minutes on it and you completed it, and your comprehension is maybe a 4, and you could put any notes in there to me. Okay, so and then you'll notice that when you come to the next record, there you can type more data in. Anyway, the whole point is that this is some of the design concerns that you want to see and have thought through in your design of your form. And I hope this helps you. Okay. Now I got to figure out how to turn this off. It drives me crazy. Okay,